Top 15 Dirty Secrets Triple H doesn't want us to know.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
15.
His involvement with Christy Hemme. When Christy Hemme won the 2004 WWE Diva Search, she was expected to stick around for a while. Despite the lack of wrestling talent, she was hot enough to have had a much better run at the company at a time when women were only treated as eye candy. But her WWE career ended abruptly just a year since her debut, leaving fans to wonder what really went on behind the scenes. Not many divas from that era got to have a match at WrestleMania, but Hemme did manage to challenge Trish Stratus for the women's title in the 21st edition of the event. Her sudden departure remains a mystery, with ambiguous comments from Hemme regarding the true reason, but many wrestling sites have reported that she may have been involved with Triple H, possibly in an affair which angered Stephane McMahon.
14.
Power struggle against Shane McMahon. For many years, fans had been under the assumption that Shane McMahon would take over the WWE after Vince until he left the company for a few years. With Shane pursuing other projects, it opened the door for Stephane McMahon and Triple H to step into a new role with much more creative power. In 2016, Shane made his long-awaited return to WWE, and it is rumored that he requested one of the top positions in the company, which didn't go too well with Triple H. While he and Stephanie may simply be just making sure that they inherit the company, it is rumored that there has been heat between the two sides. With Shane around now, it is only complicated matters as fans are once again confused whether he will take over after Vince, much to Stephanie and Triple H's disapproval.
13.
Triple H makes sure to show up at highly anticipated events. Despite his longevity, most fans still refuse to put Triple H at the same level of his peers Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. While the latter are credited for being WWE's biggest stars during the Attitude Era, fans believe that the company has been attempting to revise history by inserting Triple H into the mix. While ratings have always been guaranteed to rise with an appearance from Austin or The Rock, the same can't be said about Triple H. In recent years, it's been rumored that he has been scheduling his appearances for shows that are expected to have a high rating. Since fans continue to follow the ratings very closely to this day, it would give the impression that Triple H is responsible for the spike, although that's not always the case. But with the way WWE has been exaggerating his status during the Attitude Era, it doesn't really come as a major surprise to most fans.
12.
He was almost fired for his involvement in the Curtain Call. If you happen to be unfamiliar with the Curtain Call, it's referring to a 1996 moment in which the Kliq members broke kayfabe in the ring by hugging it all up. At the time, kayfabe was very much alive, which is why the moment became huge. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were departing to WCW, while Triple H and Shawn Michaels would remain in WWE, and the group shared one last moment before they split up. Vince McMahon was understandably upset and held Triple H responsible for the Curtain Call, who was initially booked to win the 1996 King of the Ring. McMahon punished Triple H by replacing him with Steve Austin, who went on to lead the WWE for years to come. It's been rumored that McMahon was so angry about the segment that he nearly fired Triple H. Triple H served his punishment before his push resumed shortly afterwards.
11.
His relationship with Stephane McMahon began as an affair. Since leaving the WWE, Chyna has been mostly ignored by the company despite calls for a return, and then later on a Hall of Fame induction. Sadly, we never got to witness that, and it's not related to Chyna's personal troubles. It is believed that Stephanie McMahon and Triple H had been responsible for her absence, as the latter was in a relationship with Chyna before he engaged in an affair with the boss's daughter. That is a fact WWE would love for all fans to forget, although that may be impossible for older fans. The newer generation may not be familiar with the history, and Triple H would also love to keep it that way.
10.
10. He buried Booker T. During Triple H's reign over Monday Night Raw, he was challenged by Booker T for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It was certainly a controversial storyline, with Triple H cutting some racist promos that didn't go well with some fans. With WWE building up Booker T as the underdog who would prove Triple H's remarks to be wrong, the payoff ended up being disappointing, with the latter picking up the win at WrestleMania 19. Fans believe that the loss hurt Booker's career for years as he struggled to bounce back until years later. Rumors claim that Vince McMahon was originally open to having Booker crowned as the new champion, but was convinced by Triple H to keep the belt on him until Goldberg joined the company.
9.
9. He didn't buy into the Yes movement. A few years ago, the entire WWE universe wanted to see Daniel Bryan rising to the top, but not everyone was on board with the major push. Vince McMahon was one of the main reasons why it was delayed before fans got their wish at WrestleMania 30, when Daniel Bryan defeated Triple H, and then went on to beat Batista and Randy Orton in the very same night. But McMahon wasn't alone as usual, and rumors claim that Triple H also didn't buy into the hype at first, to create some heat between him and Bryan. With fan reaction reaching unprecedented levels, Bryan was finally on top of the WWE. It seems like he worked out his differences with Triple H at some point, but that doesn't change history, as we almost never saw a happy ending for Bryan thanks to Vince and Triple H's agenda.
8.
8. He genuinely dislikes CM Punk. After having been upset with the company for a while, CM Punk left the WWE, and most fans still haven't gotten over it. It is almost guaranteed for fans to chant his name on a weekly basis during a random match or promo, and especially when it's Stephanie McMahon or Triple H. It is well known to fans that heat existed between the two sides, which made it difficult for them to work together. Although he attempts to remain politically correct about the subject, many sources have noted that Triple H genuinely dislikes Punk due to being opinionated and supposedly having an attitude behind the scenes. With Punk as well as the majority of WWE fans believing that Triple H had buried him in 2011, it only made things worse between them. It should be mentioned that there had been heat from CM Punk's early career, when Triple H used to reportedly criticize his live matches.
7.
7. He played the Backstage game to bury WCW stars. Of all storylines in wrestling history, the one that most will never get over is the WCW invasion. What had been expected to be as the greatest thing fans had ever witnessed turned into a flop. Once it ended, many names remained on the roster, while others were signed. Most of them would go on to challenge Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship, although they failed to capture it. Fans believed that Triple H had buried the likes of Booker T, Chris Jericho and Scott Steiner for simply having been WCW stars. Although Goldberg did manage to defeat Triple H, he didn't hold on to the title for long, with fans accusing the latter of playing politics to diminish Goldberg's status. It created heat between both superstars, with Goldberg criticizing Triple H for numerous years before they put their past differences behind in recent times.
6.
6. It's true, he was jealous of Kurt Angle. When Triple H started dating Stephane McMahon, many superstars believe that he was immediately pushed to the top for that very same reason. At the time, he was facing stiff competition with the likes of Kurt Angle, who had quickly made impact due to his all-around talent and wrestling background. With Angle threatening his spot as the poster boy for the company, Triple H worked against Angle in numerous ways. It has been reported that he refused to tape out to Angle, and if you believe Scott Steiner, then Triple H was against putting the WWE title on Angle due to his belief that he was too small. Kurt Angle eventually left to SmackDown, before leaving the company to TNA, and there was tension with both exchanging words during interviews. A few years ago, Angle stated that Triple H had blocked his return to WWE, but now that he is back, things may have finally been settled between them.
5.
5. He was recruited as the designated driver for the Kliq. Before Triple H became one of Top's most dominant superstars, he was still attempting to find his place in the industry when he was recruited to join the Kliq with Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall and Sean Waltman. They saw potential in him and asked him to join the group, who were slowly but surely starting to run things in the locker room. Since all four had been heavy drinkers and party animals, they recruited Triple H to be their designated driver, since he wasn't yet wilding along. That little piece of information is not one that WWE or Triple H are particularly proud about, since it paints him in an inferior manner to his peers. Triple H rose quickly through the ranks to become one of the major players for years to come, thanks to his early Kliq connections, and later on his Stephane McMahon one.
4.
4. He screwed over Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has provided the wrestling world with plenty of great moments. Among them is his WWE debut, in which he put the company on notice. At the time, WWE had been grooming Triple H to become the next major star, but it appears that he was being rivaled with the newest arrival. With somewhat similar looks, it is believed that they were competing for the same spot, which meant that they didn't necessarily get along, as confirmed by Jericho. Many believe that Triple H had been jealous of the attention gained by Jericho, and played backstage politics to diminish his push. It's been reported that Jericho struggled to find his place in the beginning due to Triple H's attempts at holding him back. As of today, they still aren't on the best of terms, but there is certainly mutual respect between them, but the heat remains as evident by their interaction in 2013.
3.
3. Even his associates disliked him. During the Attitude Era, the New Age Outlaws achieved remarkable success at the peak of the wrestling industry. Being a part of D-Generation X, they were involved in some major angles to win the tag team championships on 6 occasions. After having been associates to Triple H for many years, he chose to split from the group, to embark on a solo journey which angered the tag team since it affected their push. During their TNA run, the tag team was mostly known for coming out every show to criticize Triple H and talk trash about their former partner. It was more like a shoot, rather than an actual promo, stemming from genuine dislike towards their former partner as they continued to roast him for years. But it seems like all was forgotten once they rejoined WWE in 2012 to reunite with Triple H and fellow DX members. Since then, they have completely changed their tone about him, but it's hard to take them seriously now after all things they had said before.
2.
2. Stephane initially thought Triple H and Shawn Michaels were a couple. It's no secret that Triple H and Shawn Michaels enjoy a close friendship. Having been partners since the mid-90s, they went on to form one of the greatest stables in D-Generation X during the Monday Night Wars. Not only they were teaming up in matches, but most of their promos and backstage segments were also together. They formed a unique bond with their antics, but it did make many question whether they had been romantically involved, including Triple H's very own wife Stephane McMahon. While watching them on TV in the 90s, before she became involved in the wrestling industry, Stephane thought they were definitely a gay couple. Luckily for her, that wasn't the case, as she would go on to become one of wrestling's power couples with Triple H. 1. He held back Rob Van Dam. It is well documented that Rob Van Dam was one of the most popular stars from the early to mid-2000s generation, huge pops from fans all over the world. With Steve Austin being on a lighter wrestling schedule, and The Rock beginning to transition into a Hollywood star, many believed that RVD should have been on the receiving end of a major push, since he was truly loved by fans. Unfortunately, that wouldn't happen until 2006, as RVD spent years in mid-card, while Triple H reigned over Raw. According to former WWE superstar Paul London, Triple H was jealous of RVD's natural charisma and fans' perception of him, viewing him as a threat to his spot. London believes that Triple H was the one to hold back RVD from being a main eventer early on, and there are some other reports about him playing backstage politics to ensure that RVD wouldn't be pushed.
Yeah.